What is up, guys? Zanif Tech here. Today I'll be reviewing the Momax travel adapter. This is an adapter slash charger. So this gives you the ability to charge a device on the bottom through the USB ports, but then also an adapter for a device plugged into the front that you can change into a different adapter on the back depending on the country you're traveling to. So this is why it's called an adapter and a charger at the same time. This is the 100 watt version, but they have also sent me the 65 watt and the 35 watt version as well to see the similarities and differences because there are quite a few. Starting off with the 100 watt version, you can see that this is a pretty big adapter slash charger, and the reason to that is because it has a bunch of functionality. So to begin with this thing, you have the front part of it where you can plug in a device of your choice depending on the socket that you have on that device. So let's say you want to plug in a British plug in here in the front, you can, and you can convert it to the back with the adapter part to a different type of plug. When I say convert, I don't mean this is an actual converter device. So converter devices actually change the voltage of the device and what it accepts. This does not do that. So your device must support between the standards of 100 and 250 volts to be able to use this device. This does not convert any type of electricity. So with that in mind, the actual plug on the back can be switched between US, Japanese, and Australian. You might be wondering, how does the Australian part work? Well, as you see, the prongs can be twisted in other directions to be able to accommodate the Australian plug. Then if you need to recess it back into the device, you can just push it back and it comes in. Then it comes back out if you push the toggle on the left again. So that's really cool that this device was invented like that, but then you can also pull out different plugs. Let's say you want to use the UK plug, or you may want to use the EU plug. One thing I want to note for the EU plug is the fact that it has a longer arm on the front, because if you're in a European country and the socket is recessed, then you won't be able to use this device if it was just like any of the other plugs. So they gave you that little extension part so you can plug into the recessed receptacle. That way you can use this anywhere you travel in Europe. So that is a great benefit of this charger. And it really helps you on the go if you're traveling, or let's say if you move somewhere and temporarily you want to use your current devices, then this is definitely the way to go. But the coolest part is the fact that on the bottom part, you have USB ports. You have two USB-A ports, which is the standard, and then you have a new USB-C ports. So these ports are outlined in orange for a reason. The orange part means that they are quick charge enabled or power delivery enabled, depending on what your device supports. If you're unfamiliar with those standards, that means that the QC standard, which is the quick charge, is something that, let's say, some Android phones have because they have Snapdragon chips. It allows them to have additional quick charging capabilities. And then some devices, let's say like the MacBook Pros, have power delivery. So with power delivery, it's a similar standard, but a bit different. Basically, for quick charge, your device gets the amount of charge that it actually needs. Let's say you needed 45 watts for the device, you would get 45 watts. If you needed 47 watts, you would get 47 watts from the 100 watt charger. For power delivery, how it's different, it's USB-C in this case, but it only has certain levels. So let's say you needed 67 watts of power for the new MacBook Pro M1 Pros. However, it can only go up to 65 watts because that's the closest one to 67. So that's the difference between quick charge and power delivery, is that power delivery has a limit based on different baselines that it follows. So with that in mind also, let's talk about the other parts of this charger. When you're using the USB ports on the bottom, you are limited to the power delivery port of 100 watts if you use one device, and you can use all of that if your device needs it. However, if you want to use multiple ports at the exact same time, then the rest of the ports fall to a lower wattage to be able to make up that total output of 100 watts. So that's something to keep in mind, that you can use all four ports in addition to the port on the front to plug in a device of your choice. So this gives you a total of 5 devices that you can charge. You can charge your smartwatch, your phone, your camera, Anything that uses a USB port and can support quick charging, for example, which is for your benefit, or not. It's cross-compatible and backwards compatible. So that's the cool part about these ports on the bottom. And then the top port is for anything that doesn't have an actual USB to the cable, but it has an actual plug. Then this is where this comes into play. Let's say a camera battery pack that you have an adapter to plug into that battery pack. Then you can plug into here, and then you can use the specified port on the back depending on where you are. So this gives you that ability when traveling, and it's a great little thing to have in your bag or your suitcase. And having the 100-watt version gives you all those added benefits to it all. The next thing I want to mention is the fact that on the back, they included something super cool. They included a fuse and a spare fuse, because imagine being on vacation and the fuse blows on this thing. And this is the only thing that you depend on to charge your phone, your iPad, your computer, or whatnot. You have that additional fuse in the back. The fuse port just pops open. You can switch out that fuse with the spare one, and then you can replace the spare one with an additional spare one later on when you get back home. So if you're traveling and you do need a fuse because the old one blew, then this is a really great feature of this charger and something you don't have to worry about if it were to happen. But I do want to mention one more time that this does not convert anything. So since it does not convert, you have to make sure that your device's power supply supports the actual power that it needs between 100 and 240 or 250, depending on where you are. So look at your device's power supply and decide if you want to use this device. For example, if you use a device that's only made for the US market and you go to Europe and you plug it into here, it's not going to work, or it may work for a moment, but then that would be it. And you would probably blow something. So do keep that in mind when using this device. Most current power supplies are able to regulate the different currents that are coming through depending on what it's receiving in that power supply. So this is just an adapter that you plug into the wall that allows you to get electricity on the back end of it. That is all. So also do keep that in mind when purchasing this charger for your own sake. The 65-watt version is a little bit smaller. It's in the middle between the 35-watt and the 100-watt in size, of course. And you can see that it looks extremely similar to the other one, because it is. There's only one big difference. It has an additional port on the side, but you do notice that it's an orange port, just like all of the ports on the 100-watt version, because the bottom of the ports do not have that orange marking. They are not quick charge enabled or power delivery enabled. So do keep that in mind when getting this version of this charger. This charger is also a GaN charger, just like the 100-watt version. So it has that smaller form factor, and it's also an adapter. So it looks exactly the same. On the front, you can plug in a device of your choice based on a different plug. And then you have the adapter part on the back that you can just push out with the exact same plugs with the 100-watt version. The biggest difference for all of these is that you have a smaller wattage. So this is only 65 watts, but you have the smaller form factor. And if you don't need that 100-watt version, then no need to carry that heavy device with you. This is really light as well compared to the 100-watt version. But I want to mention that the 35-watt version is the lightest one, but that one is not a GaN charger. However, with this one, you have all those added benefits of the 100-watt version with the fuses on the back as well, and the spare fuse. You have the same adapters, but on the side, you do have that one power delivery port and then 4 ports on the bottom. So let's say you don't have that many smart devices that can quick charge. Then you can use these ports, and then you can use that one port to have that full 65 watts. For example, your MacBook Pro or MacBook Air. You can plug it into here, and then you can plug in your phone and your other devices with the slower amount of current on the bottom. And you have a total of 4 ports plus a plug on the front that you can use the adapter portion of this charger. So you do have more options here for more devices. You do have a lower wattage of 65 watts compared to 100, but you have more devices that you can plug in, and it's still a GaN charger, so it still uses the newer standard of chargers. So that is a great addition as well to this lineup, and you have the same plugs. So nothing to worry about in losing functionality besides the quick charge and power delivery on the bottom for all the ports at the exact same time. So let's get right into the 35-watt version now. This is their smallest version of the non-GaN charger. It looks very similar to the other one with the 65-watt version because it has the individual port on the side as well, something that the 100-watt version does not. But on the bottom, you still have 4 ports, 2 USB-C ports and 2 USB-A ports, and you still have all the functionality of the remaining 2. You have the different plugs that you have the ability to switch out depending on the plug that you need. So you're not really missing on that functionality, but it does have lower wattage, so it only has 35 watts, and it's not a GaN charger, so it's not really as efficient as the other 2, but the price point is a lot cheaper. So if you don't need that quick charging or smart charging on the bottom, then you don't need the most expensive version or even the mid version. So you can get this 35-watt version and you can still charge a MacBook Air, for example, that uses that 35 watts with power delivery, and then you can plug in all your other devices like your smartwatch, your iPhone, or one of those portable cameras with you with these ports on the bottom. So this is a great addition as well, and I really enjoy the fact that they have 3 different versions because someone might not want the most expensive one or might not need to have all that additional functionality and can get away with just getting a 35-watt version. So it's great that they have a lineup of these chargers for the 1World chargers, and that way you can have a charger and adapter wherever you go and you have that ability. So I really do like these chargers. I will be using them for my next trip as well to really take advantage of having this plug with you at all times. And I do want to also mention that you can have the ability to plug in a US plug on the front and also get a US plug on the back. So the greatest thing about that is that you can be able to use this as a charger at home, and when you travel, that's when you can use it as an adapter. So instead of you having 5 different chargers that are separate at home when you're on the stateside, you can have one little plug and it can give you all your devices the same charge besides the power delivery port. So that is a great addition as well, that you can use this not only when you're traveling but also when you're home, and that adds additional functionality for you because you didn't buy it just to sit in a drawer until your next vacation, for example. So that is another thing that I wanted to mention, and I really enjoy these products. I'm glad they sent them to me. They're great little devices if you don't want to carry around different plugs with you when traveling, and they just make your bag or suitcase a lot less heavy with all those plugs and different things. You just have to carry your cables with you, and if most of the devices use USB-C and they don't need to charge at the exact same time, then you can use the power delivery port on the side to give you that ability to be able to charge fast, and then you can just charge them one by one as well. So you don't have to really worry about getting the most expensive one to have all smart devices plugged into the quick charge ports. So that is what I wanted to mention. If you enjoyed this video of the Momax travel adapters, then definitely give me a thumbs up on this video. Let me know how I did. And if you have additional questions, then drop them down below and I'll definitely answer your questions. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Zanif Tech is out.